Okay, so if you're watching this video, then that must mean you are looking to recreate the look of golden hour in one of your projects. And luckily, I recently had to do this on a project that I was doing up in the Georgia mountains. And at night, it gets pitch black. So we had to fake this look. And I'm going to show you step by step exactly how I did it. Okay, so I want to start you guys off on this shot, even though it's not the first shot of the commercial, just because this is really the shot that shows where our lighting is being motivated from. So you can see that we have a bright window off to the right here, and it's really only in frame for like a fraction of a second, but in the context of the video, that's going to be where our light would naturally be emanating from. So this is where our motivation is going to stem from. Now, if we had the light coming from the opposite side, not only would that cause our image to fall very flat, but something would just be weird with the viewer. Even if they don't understand lighting, they see lighting every single day. And if something's off, it'll really just like send a signal to their brain that something's just wrong. It's like the uncanny valley effect, really. So keeping that in mind, we're gonna have 3 lights that we use in this scene, and this is the lighting diagram that we used. So outside this window here, we're actually gonna have the 1200D, and we're gonna be blasting that through an 8x into the window. So our 8x is really just gonna be a makeshift 8x that we used, just a shower curtain that I bought at Home Depot that roughly has the same dimensions as an 8x8. I think it's like 8x9 or something like that. And that's really just to simulate the low setting sun. And this is also gonna give us some level in the room, just kind of bring up the overall exposure a little bit, as well as actually to create some really cool shadows on the wall right here. And this is actually like a really good way to add depth to an image, as well as just visual interest. Without doing this, this would really just be a white wall that would pretty much contribute nothing to the overall image. So this is just a really good way to kind of accentuate the image a little bit. And then off to the right over here, we actually set up a 300D. It's gonna have a Godox soft strip attachment, and it's pretty long. I think it's like a foot by like 6 feet, so like a 1x6. Super cheap, honestly. Kind of a pain in the ass to set up, but I mean, it was like 35, 40 bucks or something like that, so you really can't complain. And so besides those first 2 lights that we have set up, the only other light that we have in this scene is gonna be a 200D up in this corner. So the ceilings here are actually wooden rafters, so I was able to just stick the 200D straight up into the rafter, and the bounce kind of just softened it up a little bit, but also the color of the wood warmed up the light a little bit, so it really helped sell the idea that we're trying to simulate an overhead fixture. Now notice we keep the camera along this axis right here for every shot. So if I go ahead and just play through this first scene for you guys, staying on this axis with the lighting setup that we have ensures that our lighting is always upstage, and all upstage means is just the lighting is on the far side of the talent in comparison to the camera. So it goes camera, talent, lighting, which is kind of what we want in almost everything that we shoot. There's definitely exceptions, but there's kind of like a general rule that you want to stick to. And this just allows the shadows to fall towards camera rather than away, which is just gonna add more depth to the image. Okay, so now onto the living room scene here. So this is actually gonna be kind of a simpler setup, although we are seeing the entirety of the deck outside in this particular wide shot. So that just means we gotta pay a little bit more attention to detail. Now again, we had a tiny budget and an even tinier crew. Is this perfect? No. But is this good enough to sell with quick cuts? For sure. Which is really all that we can ask for in this scenario. We're only running 2 lights in this setup. We're gonna have the 1200 and 300. So obviously the 1200 is gonna be what is lighting up the deck in the background. We're gonna be shooting that through the 8x again. And our 300 is actually gonna be acting like a hair light on our subjects on this couch right here. Yeah, so it's gonna be acting as our hair light right here, and it's very low, very natural looking. I kind of wanted to just look like it was coming from the light from the kitchen. Yeah, so this whole scene just has like a very natural vibe to it, which I like. And what's cool is that you can actually see the 1200 isn't just acting like our deck light, but it's actually our key. So you can see it's hitting their faces very naturally, almost like the sun. It's giving us very nice fall off and wrap on the faces. And over here again, you can see the fall off and wrap is just very nice. And having such a big and bright light source just helps soften everything up. You can see that with this simple light setup, we achieved what I think is actually a really good image. So again, quick cuts. Quick cuts so that you can get the vibe, you can get the sense, but it masks our flaws. Okay, so anyways, one final note that I want to say to anyone who's just starting out in cinematography is that lighting doesn't have to be this big scary thing that it seems like it is when you don't understand it. But just like anything, as long as you keep practicing and just keep learning, you'll kind of have this moment where you just it clicks. And once you start understanding how things work, then you can understand how to manipulate it to get the image that you're looking for in circumstances that don't naturally allow for it. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks.